Peace. Highest heart love. Peace, everyone. Divine Rising. It's time for the YouTube live book reading of The Healing Power of Water by Dr. Masaru Emoto. I'm your moderator and narrator, Uriel NEVEU. Peace. Welcome all. So we pick up at chapter 18. This is really good. The Dreaming Pool of Bath by Richard Beaumont. Welcome, welcome all. Looking earthward, the densely wooded valley couldn't have concealed the ancient river snaking through it. Inspection of the serpentine bend would have revealed to prehistoric people a truly awesome sight. Clouds of steam billowing out from England's only three hot springs. Mingled with the steam would have been the pungent smell of minerals, the ground soft and boggy, the night sky illuminated by stars playing hide and seek through the steam, the sounds of woodland creatures screeching and scratching near and far. It would have been like a dream, an entrance to another world, an underworld, a magical place of initiation. A magical history. In almost 2 decades of researching mind, body, and spirit subjects I've encountered many interesting and wonderful people, places, and techniques for self-discovery. One of the strangest encounters followed my interview with Margaret Marion Stewart of the Springs Foundation. Margaret was a guide to the Bath Springs, Cross Bath Spring, the Helting Spring, and the King Spring. She gave guided tours of the Cross Bath. R.J. Stewart, author of Waters of the Gap, had told her about the origins of the springs. His research had shown them to be a pre-Druidic sacred place, oracular mystery school, and underworld initiation center. Welcome. Thank you for being here and reading with us. We're at the top of page 232. According to Celtic, in the 9th century BC, a chieftain called Bladud was expelled from court because his leprosy made him so ill that he was unable to rule. He became a swineherd instead. One day, he followed a scabby pig to the springs and watched as it wallowed in the hot mud and emerged with its pink complexion restored. He plunged in himself and was cured. The pig is the cult animal of Ceridwen, the goddess of the cauldron and of inspiration and immortality. Bladud is believed to have set up the first academy at the Bath Springs around 800 BC, and the arts astronomy, mathematics, astrology, prophecy, divination, and necromancy were taught there. Feast, feast. Thank you. Margaret told of a legendary place referred to by the Greeks that was beyond Hyperborea, beyond the north wind. It was a triangular island that had two crops a year and hot springs gushing at the center. She felt sure that these were the Bath Springs. Reinforcing the Greek connection, there are stories that Druids from Bath taught Pythagoras. The area around the springs would have been sacred, with the public possibly only accessing it at festival times, connected with the eightfold calendar. The pre Roman Celtic culture would have been matriarchal and matrilineal. The sun would have been regarded as feminine, the hot springs as waters from the womb of the goddess. A volunteer for the Springs Foundation said, I really believe it's sacred. She also revealed that since being involved with the spring, I felt completely protected. When I have difficulties in my life, I go to the spring and things work out. This goddess spirituality is undoubtedly of considerable importance to some in Bath. During an excavation of the springs in the late 1970s, pre Roman artifacts were discovered. Coins and offerings go back 7,000 years. There were also the remains of the walls of the Romans had built around the springs. They paid homage to the local deity by calling the site Aquae Sullus, waters of Sullus, in honor of the Celtic goddess Sullus. Sullus means an an orifice, an eye, or a gap. They built a temple there, incorporating the ancient Celtic site and dedicated it to Sullus Minerva. Minerva is the nearest equivalent Roman goddess to Sullus, a goddess of healing and war. Top of page 233. West of west of the larger King Spring, linked to it in a sacred grove lies the cross bath. Margaret's sense of its function was that it was an inner sanctuary. An earlier excavation had revealed part of an altar stone dedicated to Ascal As this one. Asclepius, the Greco-Roman god of healing, who presided over Ascapulae, dream healing temples where people had a ritual bath and then slept nearby. Evidence of sheltering cubicles has been discovered under what's now a modern shopping center. They would have discussed their dreams with the resident therapeutes of the Romano Celtic period, a sort of early form of psychoanalysis. From medieval times to the 18th century, the cross bath was known as the Balneum Crucis, bath of the cross. It was a part of a pilgrim route between the Glastonbury and Malmesbury abbeys. The pilgrims would carry a life sized replica of the cross and stop at certain points on the journey. One of the stopping places was the nearby St. John's Hospital, built by the Knights Templar in 1174. At the time, it was a hospitality place, but such eventually became known as hospitals because so many travelers were sick. At the Cross Bath, the pilgrims would have a ritual bath in the healing waters before going on refreshed. It's also reported that many queens visited the cross bath over the years, including Queen Mary, and the town itself became known as Royal Bath in the early 17th century when James I, Queen Anne of Denmark, visited Bath, bathed, and soon conceived. An 18th century author of a guide to the bath suggests that the waters might well act as a miraculous cure for infertility. Peace, everyone. Hi, it's Heart Love. Thank you for reading with us. We're down at the bottom of page 233, The Healing Power of Water. We are now in the 18th chapter. We're rolling. Almost finished. This only has, what, three more chapters. Bath became a fashionable resort of Georgian England under Beau Nash, the legendary master of ceremonies, and in a doctor with a lucrative practice treating wealthy neurotics in the town said the water the water was a sovereign cure for rheumatic, gouty, and paralytic afflictions, in all those disorders originating from indigestion and acidity of the stomach, bilious and glandular obstructions, hypochondriac and hysterical afflictions. By that time, many townsfolk were making a living off the waters, providing cures ranging from cups of steaming water to hot water and enemas, selling souvenirs, housing invalids, or carrying them in bath chairs through the streets. Top of page 234. In the 1970s, that all stopped. In 1976, the National Health Service stated that plunging patients into the miraculous water was no more effective than turning on a hot tap. And in 1978, tragedy struck. The water at the spring was found to be polluted, and a girl died of meningitis related illness. Bathing overnight, and visitors to the Roman Baths Museum were warned against touching the water. Dreams of intervention. Gratitude, highest heart love. Dreams of intervention. In 1979, Margaret Stewart started a campaign to reopen the cross bath for bathing. The effort gained considerable momentum, and then the dreams began. In one dream, Margaret found herself inside the cross bath by many non human interplane beings. Her sense of privilege at being there amidst so many magnificent creatures turned to dismay and embarrassment as the largest of these beings told her that she was to stop her campaigning and that the baths were meant to be closed at that time. She contacted all the protesters and ended the process the next day. On reflection, she believed that the baths needed to be closed for a period of inner purification. In the time since bathing permitted prohibited, there'd been a in the spring's temperature. The three springs all from the same aquifer in oolithic limestone, non-sulfurous, non-volcanic. The Cross Bath Spring is the deepest at 1.8 miles and used to be at 103 Fahrenheit degrees Fahrenheit. The Hetling Spring was the hottest at 120 Fahrenheit, and the King Spring was 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Today, all the springs have a similar temperature around 111 degrees Fahrenheit. In recent mineralogical analysis of the hot springs has shown that all the thermal water contains sodium, calcium, chloride, and sulfate ions in high concentrations. Although there are some small variations allowing for changes in analytical methods, the composition has remained constant over the past. When a borehole was put into the King Spring, the source of the largest volume of water, to get amoeba free water, Margaret formed the spring's foundation to stop plans to cap the Cross Bath Spring and take water from the spring borehole and pump it into the Cross Bath. As each of the springs comes up from different fissures, they each have slightly different mineral constituted, and Margaret wanted to retain the integrity of the Cross Bath water. As a result of her action, another borehole was made into the Cross Bath spring source to provide amoeba free water to the Cross Bath. The spring's foundation has since seen modern day pilgrims from all over the world find their way to the Cross Bath and feel blessed. I'd come to Bath to report on a story about Margaret's fears that the spring might be tapped off and replaced by ordinary heated water from the main water supply. As I listened to her talk about the importance of protecting the site, I remember letting my right hand play in the hot water. It felt thick and strangely pregnant with life. It made my fingers tingle. 4 hours later, Margaret was still talking about the strange dreams that had brought her to be a protector of the site, about unusual winds that had thrown the planetary redesigns into the water, and about the sudden illnesses that had afflicted the key proponents of the unwanted refurbishment. Having failed to bring the interview to a polite end, I took the only option available. I abruptly informed her that I was leaving, and with her voice still echoing behind me, walked away. What I had in would be a pleasant hour-long interview had turned into a 4-hour experience of extraordinary mania. By now, I was feeling very strange, and the world around me was echoing this, becoming somehow dreamlike and viscously fluid in a most disconcerting way. As I walked to my car, the night seemed darker than it should have been against the lights of the city. Upon returning home, I felt an uncharacteristic need to go directly to sleep. What I didn't realize at the time was that I too had been affected by the water and was about to experience its power, whether I wanted to or not. Top of page 236. Welcome. The Green Man. As soon as I lay down, my entire body seemed laden, and I fell into a deep, deep sleep. I could smell water weeds and see many light bodied nature spirits wafting around me, almost as if they were preparing the ground for something. A sense of timelessness pervaded the room. As the dream began to take a dark turn, I found myself unable to move. Earthy, troll like characters gathered around me in a circle, their solid frames immovable and glistening with a pale bluish green light. All these beings were strangely, intimately familiar to me. They seemed almost like cousins or family. I knew which tribe they belonged to, and I knew each one of them, and they were dear to me. Yet I hadn't seen them for longer than I could remember. Then, with a slow, methodical progress of being of immense size and power, ancient beyond my comprehension, came toward us. Imagine a grizzly bear 100 times bigger than any bear you've ever seen, but with an almost human articulation to him. His face seemed as far away as the clouds, but his presence permeated everything. I could feel his breath on my face, and he snorted like a horse. He, too, was familiar, but I'd never before had his attention focused on me alone. It was overpowering. He turned his head from side to side as if trying to understand what I was doing there. When he spoke, everything around us moved, and the wind of his words flew over my head. It was almost deafening and yet somehow silent at the same time. It pervaded my whole body. I was wordlessly, but in no uncertain terms, that I had a job to do, and there was no backing out of it. I felt his eyes see right through my essence. He seemed immortal, immensely wise, and as compassionate as one would be to a creature lower on the evolutionary chain who had gotten lost. I've never felt so merely human, so puny, so completely out of my depth. I woke with a start, soaked with sweat. I felt tiny and insignificant beside such an ancient power. The entire room seemed different and unfamiliar to me. There was no comfort, no assurance that I'd simply had a dream. Reality seemed entirely insubstantial in comparison to what I just experienced. I knew with absolute certainty that there was nowhere on earth where he couldn't find me. It was daylight. I'd slept for 10 hours, but it felt like 15 minutes of bed, and the sense of urgency was so great that I called Margaret even before getting dressed. At first, it was hard to speak. My voice seemed disconnected from my body, as if I were an actor using a foreign accent. But I now felt a connection to her, knowing we'd both encountered the same beings, and I had compassion for her, as she was connecting with them on a regular basis. It was no wonder that she'd become so fixated on being a guardian of the waters. She'd seen hundreds of people receive healing from the springs and knew intimately the powers behind the wonder. That wonder. I told her that I was going to run the story, and was just calling a to check a few details. In the long conversation that ensued, she added yet more information about the complexities of the water analysis, microbiological filtering systems, and town council plans for redevelopment of the springs. I knew I had to pull it all together: premonitions, mythology, history, excavations, water analysis, the lot. I didn't dare cross the ancient being I just met. The result of my oh, oh, thank you, gratitude. We got reconnected. Highest heart low. Okay. Whew. This is getting good. Look at that. That's never happened before, guys. Highest heart love. Wow. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you. Bringing us back in. I told her that I was, oh, okay. I knew I had to pull it all together: premonitions, mythology, history, excavations, water analysis, the lot. I didn't dare cross the ancient being I just met. The result of my labor is in print for all to see. I felt driven throughout the writing of the piece and never lost the strange sense of being in the flow of the fates. As soon as I'd finished the article, I walked toward my kitchen through an enclosed passageway, hearing something calling me. There were, there, for the first time and last time in the 3 years I lived on those premises, I met a huge frog. Its loud croaking filled the sealed corridor, and a tingle went down my spine. The force of nature had sent a messenger. The spell had been completed. The job was done. This is good. Peace, everyone. The mystery of water. In our current study of water, especially with Dr. Emoto's discovery of the effect of thought and prayer upon water crystals, there are two paradigms at work, and they don't necessarily mix. On the one hand, there's science, with its reliance on neutral, objective evidence and logical conclusions. But there's also the mystical experience of those in touch with natural forces, which defies logical definitions as its interpretations are both universally applicable and yet subjectively personal. We know that water holds memory. It's also the requisite for all life on this planet. Dr. Emoto's work has demonstrated the effect of our consciousness on water. But what if water isn't simply the receptively inert medium his studies demonstrate? If it can be indeed become altered by the consciousness directed at it, isn't it also possible that it could contain the project and project a more evolved consciousness? Certainly, I believe that we should include our studies of water and investigation into the shamanistic practices upheld even today in the more remote areas of the world, where water blessings still hold their power and human understanding isn't regarded as the pinnacle of awareness. In our scientific attempts to define and understand matter, we may well have become blind to a direct, more potent way of perceiving the world around us. Can we truly claim to have a fully comprehensive understanding of life without incorporating the experiences of the countless mystics who point to a paradigm beyond intellectual understanding? The current day, bottom of page 238. The current day. My meeting with Margaret Stewart took place in 1998. Much has happened since that time. The council's plan for the redevelopment of the springs met with years of bitter wrangling. Petitions were signed for and against it. There was strong local opposition, which led to the threat of legal action against the local authority and the developers. But the case was settled out of court. An uneasy truce was established, giving residents priority access and reduced prices to the restored uh, Georgian cross bath. Construction work on the project began, and Therme Bath Spa finally opened in August 2006. Margaret eventually came around to the idea of the refurbishment of the cross bath on the basis that the goddess is getting a facelift. The development, which eventually cost 43 million or 23 lire million, around 50% more than its original budget, is certainly impressive. The new spa, the only one in Britain where visitors are able to bathe in naturally heated mineral water, is a combination of new build and refurbishment. A 1920s swimming pool was demolished to make way for the central cubic structure composed of glass and the city's signature yellow stone, and designed by architects Nicholas Grimshaw and partners. At the top of the complex is the open air pool. Below that is a floor with steam rooms containing fluted pillars around a central device where spa goers can walk into a midst of scented steam lit by state of the art fiber optics. There are also treatment rooms, a gym for yoga and Pilates, and a big thermal pool at the bottom. Healing claims for the waters persist. The Therme Development Company, Dutch operators of the spa complex, state sufferers of all ailments from sports injuries to rheumatic pains, sinus related ailments to skin problems will find healing properties in the spa waters. Baths reopen spa, taking water from a very pure source, will be a relaxed, sociable environment contributing to the well being of all users. A much needed resource in today's very busy and very stressful world. All the bathing facilities in the spa complex use natural spring water cooled to 91.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Sand filtration, enhanced UV, and minimal chlorine dosing for residual disinfection are the only treatment requirements. Whether you choose to align to the sacredness of this ancient place or not, the fact remains that it's once again active in the 21st century, a time when we need all the magic we can get. That's the center of page 240 and concludes chapter 18. Chapter 18 is concluded of the healing power of water. Excellent, excellent chapter. The Dreaming Pool of Bath by Richard Beaumont. Hi, it's Heart Love. Thank you for reading The Healing Power of Water with us by Dr. Masaru Emoto. I'm your moderator and narrator, Uriel NEVEU. We shake it up around here. We are coming up to the ending of this book. Oh, thanks. Thank you for sharing. Oh, awesome. Highest Heart Love. Thank you. Look, right there. You see this book? She Rose, one of my favorite authors and poets in the entire world, Venus Love Jones. So she's featured right here. That's her book. Go out and get that. She Rose. She also now has Little Red. It's a magnificent story. You guys go out and check out the book and publication Little Red by Venus Love Jones. Highest heart, love, and honor. Thank you. Thank you guys. Peace. Happy Tuesday. Much love and honor to all our ancestors. Helped us get it this far, right? Reading is essential. I used to read and watch the books, readings with LeVar Burton, right? Oh, you're welcome. Highest heart love. Reading Rainbow, one of my favorite, and Mr. Rogers, right? I used to, I used to sit there and just like this and just read and watch the stories unfold. This brightens our imagination. The crystallization is inside of us. That's what this book is telling us, right? Peace, peace. Get ready because we got a new book coming soon, right? So, highest heart love. Sorry about that little glitch. Much love to Yellow Brick Cinema and Yellow Brick Media, providing the melodic harmony. I wish all the best. You have a wonderful day. Peace, everyone. Thank you. Yes. Oh, see you soon. Peace, peace. Highest heart love.